Hey there, Starfighters. John here. For our Goonies episode, I knew I'd be interviewing Behman Zakeri, the newish owner of the Walsh's house from the Goonies in Astoria, Oregon. What I expected to be a 10-minute chat ran for an hour, so we decided to release it as a bonus episode. Anyway, enjoy my chat with Behman Zakeri.
A modern-day remake of Matthew Vaughn's Layer Kick, a Coen Brothers end-up with Timothy Chalamet.
A Citizen Kane prequel, a Midnight Cowboy sequel, Alvin and the Chipmunks deserve another squeakquel.
There's so many new ways to revisit sideways, but a graphic novel is how we choose to update.
But we still hold fast, you can't change the past on the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
Behman, thank you so much for having this little chat with me for the podcast. I love that you have rescued this iconic house and have turned it into something that people can really enjoy. I'd love to know, what's your personal history with the Goonies?
Well, I mean, I watched the movie as a kid. My mom took my childhood best friend that lived next door to us, Michael, who, of course, you got to call Mikey, right? Just by default.
Yeah.
So Michael, one of my brothers and one of my sisters, we were all kids. We went to go see Goonies the summer of '85. And, the movie just hit home as a kid. We just immediately thought we were the Goonies. We immediately wanted to go find the treasure map in some attic somewhere and go hunt for One-Eyed Willie's treasure. And there was just, the movie just was so profound, in that our generation, that it just, I wanted to own the Goonies house. I wanted to own the Goonies house. I wanted to live in the Goonies house. I wanted to go to Astoria. So it was one of those things where you just put out in the universe and you just hope, like, is this something that could really happen? But I was a kid with no money. We came from no money. So it was like highly unlikely that, that would ever happen. But just like the Goonies in the movie, they didn't have money. Their parents were getting foreclosed on. So it was the same.
They famously didn't have money.
Yeah, it literally, everything just fell right into place.
And so had you ever even been to Astoria before, or Oregon at all up until that point? I mean, you were probably still a kid.
Yeah, no. Well, I was a kid, obviously, in 1985. In 2013, because of Facebook, my friend Michael and I reconnected, and we were chatting again and, reliving our childhood, just bringing up old memories and things, because we used to ride BMX bikes. So, when you see the Goonies, obviously doing the BMX bikes down the driveway and riding them, whatever, that's all we did. And Michael actually was, as a kid, a professional BMX racer. So he would go. No way. Oh, yeah. He was top ranked. His dad, his family bought him the best possible bike, the lightest weight bike with all the best pedals and crankshafts and everything that you need, right? So we related to the Goonies on so many different levels, but BMX biking. So we're talking. He said, "Hey, I want to invite you guys to come out to Portland, and it's my wife's 40th birthday party. We want to throw a big party." And he's like, "Plane tickets on me." And we're just like, "Hell yeah!" We're on our way. So we go visit. That was in 2013. Well, when we get there, we get all settled. We do the birthday party. It was amazing. Then, maybe it was the next day or that. I think it might have been that night. I was just like, "How far is the Goonies house from here?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Not far." And I was like, "What does not far mean?" He's like, "I don't know, 80 to 100 miles." I was like,
it's like 2 hours away.
Yeah. And I was like, "Can we go?" And he's like, "Sure, why not? We'll go tomorrow," something like that. And so literally we just decided we're going to see the Goonies house. And so we go to Astoria the first time. This would have been June. I don't know the month. I'm sorry. It was in 2013.
I'm not going to fact check you. So
no. You know what's funny? You can fact check me on Facebook because I have pictures uploaded when we went. Right?
Okay.
So we had those pictures, so I can actually look them up and give you the exact date that I uploaded the photos. I have to think back to the weekend, but I want to say it would have been probably more like October of 2013. So anyway, we go there. We get to Astoria. We get in the butterflies, the chills, right? That's all working. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're not far from the Goonies house. And when we get there and you see the house and you're like, "That's it, right? That's it up on the hill." And then you get closer. And so we parked a couple blocks away and we walked, and you get to the base of the driveway. And at the time there was a sign that was like, "Goonies on foot welcome." It was a really cool, colorful sign. We've got a picture actually by the sign. And then when I get to the base of the driveway, all I'm thinking about is like, can we even do this? Is this legal? Are we going to get arrested for trespassing? old man Peabody. I'm thinking like Back to the Future, going to come out with like a shotgun and like, get off my lawn, and,
right.
And so it's like all that stuff's running through my head. And then it's like the kid in me was like, just do it. Like, bolt up the driveway. Let's get our pics. We're here, And so we ran up the driveway. We were in awe. It was just blown away. Like, this is where all that magic happened. Oh my gosh. I was just picturing all the cameramen, all the cast, everybody's there. And so we get our pictures. And then we put our $10 in the donation box because Sandy had installed that donation box. We were like, she didn't come out and yell at us. So we're like, okay, we'll help out, whatever. And then we bolted down the driveway and it was like, oh my God. And then we went to the film museum and did all that stuff. So first trip was 2013. And then we went back for the 30th anniversary in 2015.
Yeah.
And the 30th anniversary was epic because, Chunk was out there.
Jeff
Randy
Cohen.
Widener. Sloth stunt double was out there.
Cool.
Troy's father was out there.
Was he just like, I'm sorry, I regret it?
No, it was funny because they did such special stuff. Like they had rented some like bar restaurant area. And, there was a lot of different things to do. The city really played ball. It was so neat how they all worked together and set up all these things for fans to come into their town. And so they're telling stories, and then they showed footage that had never been showed ever publicly, which for a huge Goonies fan, I was like, no way. And it was the Hawaii trip where after Goonies was filmed, if you know the details, Richard Donner was exhausted with being around all the kids. And so he had a home in Hawaii and he said, I'm going to Hawaii. I want to be left alone. Well, I think it was Steven Spielberg that like played the prank. He bought all the kids plane tickets and they all flew to Hawaii to crash Donner and to
That's
show
beautiful.
up. And it was the Fratellis, it was the cast, everybody showed up. So, we're obviously watching all this stuff. We met Sloth stunt double. He's the one that came down the sail and did all the dangerous stuff. That wasn't Matusak, and I didn't know that. Randy actually passed away, I think, a couple of years ago. So rest in peace.
Oh, no.
But we go there for that. Luckily for us, we found out they had tours of the house. And, you can't sell tours because we're a residential house. You can't, It's not a business. And so Sandy had worked some sort of deal with the film museums that or city or something they're able to sell. So we're like, holy crap, we gotta buy tours. So I bought 4, me, my wife, my 2 kids, and then Mikey and his wife and his I think it was daughter and maybe a son came. I'm trying to remember, was there 3 or 4 of them? So we get a tour, we go meet Sandy. She was amazing. Let us take tons of pics, took pictures with her and stuff. And I said, hey Sandy, if you ever want to sell this house, I would love to buy it. And she just like chuckled and she's like, yeah, you and a million other Goonies, And I'm like, come on. I was like, I promise I would
You're shooting your shot.
Yeah. I'm like, you got to understand like how epic this would be, not only for me, but for Goonies around the world, because I understand not only what needs to be done to the house. I will preserve it. I will protect it. Like, I will do everything in my power to do what I need to do to make sure this house is what it is for all of us, because it lives in our hearts, and so we became friends on Facebook, but we never talked. We never chatted. It was maybe I would like something she posts or whatever. It was nothing. And then out of nowhere, the house goes up for sale, at the end of 2020.
Remember me? I'm the guy.
Well, she didn't let me know. I had all my friends and family that knew I was a big Goonies fan. They were texting me and tagging me and doing all this stuff. And I'm just sitting there going like, oh boy, is this real? And so I moved 200 miles an hour and I called the listing agent, Jordan Miller, and had the first conversation with him. I said, look, I'm going to let you know this up front. I'm the guy. This house is going to me. What is the price that I need to pay? He said, it doesn't work like that. We're taking offers. The family's going to sit down and consider the offers, and they're going to pick who they feel is the right person to pass the house down to. And then Sandy's daughter lived next door, right? So they own both houses. So the Goonies house and not Data's house, but the house.
Not Data's house. Okay.
Right. Just to be clear. And
that's an important detail.
That's an important detail. Yeah. would have been nice. But we're friends with the people that own Data's house. There's a whole
Love it.
lot of stories for that. We can do another podcast if you want on Data's house. But so it was interesting because just so I had to get pre-approved, which I didn't know if I was going to be able to. I'm not the guy that could write the check, so to speak, right? It was more like I was going to have to borrow a ton of money, rob Peter to pay Paul, sell a bunch of stuff that I didn't want to sell, collectibles, whatever. But it's the Goonies house, so it's like part the waters, got to get this baby, And I get pre-approved, and then every night I just can't sleep. It was like unfathomable that I was even being considered. Right.
And where are you living at this time? So where are you located at this time?
I live in the greater Kansas City area. I live in a city called Overland Park, based in Kansas City. And that's where I still live full time. That's where my businesses are, my family, my friends, my high school, my college, right? Everything's here. And I got to the point after 2 or 3 nights, I think it was the third night, I called Jordan Miller. I said, listen, I can't take this pressure anymore. It's getting rough. I can't believe I'm being considered, but it's the week of Thanksgiving. I don't want to go into Thanksgiving and spend time with my family all weekend that I don't get a lot of time with and be like stressed out about the Goonies house. So I need to know the day before Thanksgiving, Wednesday. And this is probably Tuesday or whatever. And I said, I got to know. And I think it had only been 5 days since I had started this whole thing. I said, I'm going to pull my offer if it doesn't get accepted, just because I told you from the gate, if anybody big, if Steven Spielberg or Corey Feldman, Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, Key Kwan, one of these guys, if Chunk wants to buy it, these are the guys that deserve it. Like, let them own the house. They made it famous. But if you're going to consider me, if you want me to be that person, you got to let me know, because there's a lot of moves I've got to make too. I've got to sell stuff, get loans. And if I'm not going to be considered, I'm not selling this stuff. I'm not getting these loans. So, and so he said, ironically, the family, Sandy and her family, were kind of thinking along those same lines, that they kind of wanted to find, kind of home down on who they wanted and sell it and move on with their life. So it was funny because I make my offer, I craft my offer. I offered only $777 over asking price on $1.65 million, which is basically zero.
Right. Yeah.
But I did it. It was kind of like I meant it. It was for good luck and prosperity. It was kind of one of those, I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers. And so I was trying to send a signal like, I'm blessing you, this is, whatever. If you like numbers like I do, maybe it'll strike home. And I told the listing agent, I am not going into a bidding war. So if this is about money, I'm out. Like, I'm not the guy that can just bid to the moon and buy this. Like, the Home Alone house is for sale for like $5 million now. Like, if the Goonies house was going to go for $2 million or $3 or $4 or $5 million, I'm out. Like, I'm not the guy. But if you're looking for like the Cinderella story, the little boy in the 80s that grew up with his family and his friends that were huge fans, that had no money, that grew up, that worked his ass off for 30 years, and I still do. I work every day of my life, including today. And so I relate. I'm a working class guy. Like, I mean, I have invested and saved. And so I've worked 7 days a week for all these years. I said, if you want that guy to be your steward and it's really about that, then I'm your guy. If not, let's let it roll. So he said, here's what's going to happen tomorrow, which was, I believe, Wednesday. Yeah, it would have been Wednesday. He said, we're going to do like all bets off. No more offers past whatever time. I'm going to call it 3 p.m. Pacific. We'll just call it that.
Yeah.
And he said 3 p.m. Pacific, we're going to just evaluate. Family's going to talk it over, make a decision, and then that's going to be it. And then we're going to sign the contract with that person. Like, I guess, like I had already signed mine on my end. All they have to do is sign it on their end, right? And so Jordan Miller called me up and he said the next day, and I'm at work at my card store because I'm into collectibles. So I do like,
cool.
Sports cards. I do Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, and even stuff like D&D and toys and comics. I do everything. That's the industry that is my baby.
I see the Pikachu behind you. It's
there
not
you go.
surprising.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, Pikachu has made my living for 25 years, along with, sports cards and all that Magic the Gathering stuff. But anyway, I said, okay. So he calls me up and it's past 3. he said, well, I got good news and bad news. And I'm just thinking like, dude, just tell me like I got the house or I didn't. And he said, well, so, we're pretty much done taking offers, but we got an offer a few minutes past the deadline. I was like, great, you can't consider it because you said all bets are off, And he's like, no, we kind of have to. It's a respectable offer. It's a big one, and it's coming out of Hollywood. And I said, I'm out. I'm out. That's it. That's all you had to say. And he goes, no. Bear with me. And I didn't know this, but in the state of Oregon, they allowed for dual representation for real estate. So he was I chose him. And so he was representing me and he was representing Sandy, which is always interesting, right? Because you have to be careful over. So he's asking permission from both sides, communicating, said, listen, this individual wants to buy both the Goonies house and her daughter's house next door.
Ooh, okay.
Which is attractive to them because they want to sell together and move together as a family and be done, right?
Yeah.
And he said he'll pay cash for both houses and close in 30 days. And once again, I said, I'm out. Yeah. I was like, I can't do it. Again, you got the kid. I don't have that. I can't write a check. I got to go get loans. I got to do that, whatever, And so he goes, listen, without saying it, I think that they want to sell you the house. Can you read between the lines? Like, he wasn't like giving away the info, but he like insinuated like, look, and I'm like, all right, so why not just sign and go under contract with me? He said, well, so here's the thing. You're only wanting to buy the Goonies house. And furthermore, the other offer is six figures higher than your offer.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
They need to make a t-shirt for me, Goonies house, I'm out,
I'm out. Yeah.
I'm out, And so I said, I told you, I'm not going to get in a bidding war. And he's like, listen, obviously I represent both sides and they're getting offered more money. Would you be willing to match it? Whatever. And I was like, well, first of all, that's a lot more money. Secondly, what's not to say that if I match it, you go back to that guy and he raises the bar and just spanks it and says, I don't even care. I'm offering this much more now, and then then all I did was just did that. And for me, I was riding the fate train, as I like to call it, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I'm meant to be this new steward of this freaking iconic house for the world, sweeping up, cleaning and taking care of it.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I'm either the guy or not. Like it's not about the money, right? Sometime. And so I said, I got to stand pat, man. He said, well, we got one other thing to talk about. And I was like, what's that? He goes, the house next door. It's like, well, I'm not trying to buy the house next door. I just want the Goonies house. He's like, well, look at it from their perspective. They're, as a family, able to sell in 30 days, be done, close. I'm assuming they're probably going to even waive inspections. They don't even care. They just want to buy it and move on. And I'm like, oh, geez. And he's like, yeah. He's like, so what can you do? And I said, hold on a second. Can I call you back? He's like, it needs to be kind of quick. And I was like, that's fine. I'll call you right back. So I called Mikey, my friend Michael. Michael, I got a question. I'm on the 1 yard line. I'm on the finish line here at the Goonies house. But apparently this other offer wants to buy both houses. The other house next door is for sale, not Data's house, the other house. And he goes, so if I buy the Goonies house, would you buy the house next door and then we could be neighbors like we were when we were kids again and we could ride BMX bikes down the Goonies driveway, dude, bro, let's do it. Let's go, And he's like, F it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Whoa.
Just like that. He's like, let's go.
What a pal. What a good pal.
Just like that. So I called Jordan Miller back. I was like, all right. So I got good news. I'm still going to buy the Goonies house. I am not increasing my offer. It's 1,650,777. That's my offer.
Right.
And my friend Michael's going to buy the house next door. And he's like,
oh my God, that's fantastic.
Yeah. He goes, but I got to ask, what if his deal falls through? What if he doesn't? And I was like, I don't know, man. Come on. He's like, well, what if he doesn't? I mean, I have to go to the family and give them all their options. I said, I'll tell you what, if my friend doesn't live up to his word, which I believe that he will, then I will make every necessary adjustment I have to make in my life to borrow more money and I will
Right.
buy the house next door. But I'm confident my friend Michael will buy it because he's done well for himself. He's a workaholic like I am. He works hard, and he'll find a way to make it work. And he's already cleared it with his wife, and they were excited that they're going to live next door to the Goonies house and with us. And it was a match made in heaven. So he's like, all right, before I hang up with you, are you sure you don't want to match that offer? Because where it sits now is you guys need another, 15 to 30 days to close. You're not paying cash. There's some uncertainty here, and your offer isn't the highest offer. And you probably may or may not know this, but more offers are going to come into this house if we don't do a deal with you,
Yeah.
And what we found out was like HDTV was going to buy it, and do what they did to the Brady Bunch house.
The Brady Bunch
house,
that was their plan.
So anyway, long story short, he said, okay, I'm going to call you in the next couple hours. I said, well, I've got family in town for Thanksgiving, so my phone's going to be off. He's like, you're going to want to make sure your ringer's on. Keep your phone close by, because you're either going to find out you're under contract for the Goonies house, or you're going to be licking your wounds.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. So I drive home. My wife's side of the family's in town. We do Thanksgiving with my side, the day before with hers. And I said, guys, I'm not here. No disrespect, but we got something big in the works potential. I got to turn my ringer on. There's one phone call I'll take right now, barring an emergency. I said, if you see George Miller ring on my phone, I got to take that call. And so I'm like taking my last bite of food, and then my phone starts going nuts. My daughter's like, hey, Dad, George Miller's calling you. And I'm like, answer, So I sprint over there and answer the phone. I was like, hey, what's up? Give me some good news. And he goes, so, and I was like, don't so me. Like, what? Just hit me with it, And he's like, check your inbox. You're under contract for the Goonies house.
Oh, my God.
Wow, so, I want to just give kudos to Sandy Preston.
Yeah.
This lady bought the Goonies house in foreclosure over 20 years ago. It was
really?
Yeah, it went into foreclosure. She knew it was a Goonies house, but needed a lifelong of work to restore it. She put her whole life into it, gave it all that love, dealt with all these nutcase kids like us, right, through the years, visiting, put up with all of us, shared her house, right, allowed people to come in and visit and get tours and stuff, and did it out of the goodness of her heart, did it for our family as well. She didn't get that money for the tour, by the way. That was all for either the film museum or the city. So this was all the goodness of her heart. And so God bless her. She's been so good. And what she did to preserve it, to paint it, to rebuild it and bring it to where it looks like it is now. And, I'm grateful that she trusted, me and my family to take it over. And I hope that the world is happy with what we're doing. The only thing I'm really disappointed in is, the plans are and still are to restore the house to its 80s glory, to make it look just like it did, right? So the Rube Goldberg 100% is coming back. The inside's going to look the same. The trim on the house is orange. It needs to be red. The staircase goes the wrong direction on the front. The gate needs to be put back. The tree stump, like the boat, all this stuff, all that's coming back. Well, here's the thing. Last year, when I was hot stuff in lifestyle media, I attracted a lot of production companies that were like, wait, this will be great for TV. And so they were all reaching out to me one at a time. And luckily I had hired a PR agency and they were good at vetting production companies, right? To see what level, because, you could be bottom level guy with him and his brother that he films, he edits, right? Which doesn't mean they do bad work, but then you have people that do big production network TV, right? And that's where this needs to land, right? Is in like an HDTV or one of those kind of deals on Disney Channel or something like that. So they were saying, dude, your idea is great, but stop. Don't do this work, please, without us being able to get the cameras there and creating a show out of this. So I had all this momentum. The world, like I had volunteers to paint the house and volunteers to build stuff. And the Rube Goldberg, I got the two guys that can do it. We've already built, by the way, 75% of it's already built. But
you just need the chicken.
It's a robotic chicken.
Oh, okay.
Yes. You want here? I have to show you this. I have to show you this TikTok because this is one of the two engineers that actually is
Oh,
building it.
fantastic.
Yes, and he put the chicken because I bought all the parts and then I sent it off to these guys and they build it, right? Because that's what they do. And I'll show you. He put 2 videos up.
Cool. This will be for our YouTube viewers, not so much for the audio listeners.
Yeah, I don't know how the audio is going to do. So I'm going to show you the 2 videos. So here's the first one if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
So that's a chicken. We have the chicken coop and everything like that. So
nice.
The second one is actually the egg where you get to see the egg.
Oh, awesome.
So.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, we figured if we did a live chicken that the animal rights people would not be
it's so not. Robot feels even more like appropriate, I feel.
Yeah, because the machine is all like trinkety, right? So it's like having that, and obviously if we can get like for Goonies Day, if somebody that's a chicken caretaker that can properly bring a chicken and not hurt it. And we make it fun and sure, but we don't want to upset anybody. But
you also can't make a chicken lay an egg on demand.
Yeah, plus you can't do that. So I don't know if you heard the stories about the Rube Goldberg. They could never get it to fully work when they did.
Oh, of course not.
So they had apparently like when they were blowing up the balloon, they have a guy going like,
oh yeah,
as it's going, and they're doing all that stuff. But these guys are bound and determined to make it organically work by itself. So like the football target kick thing is like 50%. So they're getting the football half the time to actually hit the target. We've got the sprinkler, we've got the pan, the bowling ball, we got the chicken, we got the coop. So, but anyway, going back to the story, and then I know you've got probably some questions. So we've got the show in the works. The PR company's vetting these people. Everybody's great. They're all Goonies and passionate, but you got to pick one. You got to pick the one. So I picked Fly on the Wall.
Oh, I know them.
Yeah, good. And I picked Fly on the Wall because of their resume, right? So I was like, oh, Big Brother. Used to watch Big Brother. Oh, The Real World. Used to watch The Real World. Kardashian Show. Never watched an episode, but I know what it is,
Yeah, everybody knows what it is.
Right. So when you see like this is their resume, and then what they tell me is they're like, they're like, look, we're the ones that can do exactly what you need. We're the ones that can produce this, edit it, do it, and tell the story the way you want to tell it. And then they start telling me, which was music to my ears. I didn't believe them at the beginning because everybody's going to try to hard sell you on it. They said, this is more of a passion project for us. We're Goonies too. We love the Goonies. And we're doing this not because, we're going to make a ton of money. Although we would bill to produce it, we're doing this because we want you to get the show. This is your personality.
That's
You're
amazing.
The dude. We got to get you this show. And so I believed them, and I signed an exclusive with them so they could go shop it. They shop at HGTV, and we did like 12 other pitches. Most of the people were interested, but we picked HGTV because of the Brady Bunch, right?
Okay.
And then they did that, and it's like then they let us know Goonies House was next on the chopping block. We're like, oh, no way. They're like, yeah, but you moved too fast. You went under contract too fast. And I'm like,
oh my God.
It is what it is. But they said, but your plans are the same as what we wanted to do. So this is amazing. Yeah. And so we were going through this painstaking process where all these departments have to watch the sizzle. There's a sizzle where I could show you, but it could not be recorded. So if you want to see it at the end, I'll show it to you. If you're a Goonies fan, it will get you so excited about everything. But so they produced this sizzle. They produced this pitch deck that was so professional and colorful and exciting. That was like, oh my goodness. And everybody, my understanding was effectively everybody along the way at HDTV and beyond said yes. So I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but I look at it as like green light go,
Sure, yeah.
And they all said yes. But the problem was we were dealing with the writer's strike and the Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, well, what does that matter? Because this is unscripted. So we don't really need writers. We don't need actors. I'm not an actor. I'm just a regular Joe, right? And so what's the big deal? Well, Corey Feldman and I had been in contact, and he said, me and Sean and the cast, we want to be part of your show. And I was like,
Got it.
that's awesome. He said, slight problem. Sean is on the board of the Screen Actors Guild.
Sure.
He's literally walking with picket signs.
Yeah.
So he can't, we can't do this now. Like, and so I'm sitting there like battling that. And then when that gets settled, I'm like, yes, here we are. Everybody said yes. And
Right.
even Fly on the Wall's like, we're good. Like, we're on the 1 yard line. Like, literally everybody effectively has signed off. Nobody's told us no. Nobody said anything. And then I get this Zoom call and everybody's grim and grumpy. And I'm like, what? They're like, there's no money. And I was like, what? Like, say that again? And they're like, there's no budget money. I go, this is Hollywood. They have bazillions of dollars. Like, what do you mean there's no money? And they said, there's no money. And I said, they said the Writers and the Screen Actors Guild strikes put such a hamper, whatever you want to call it, on Hollywood that they've decided that they're not going to put a lot of money towards new shows and they're going to run a lot of reruns or something, I guess.
Well, so I used to produce reality TV shows, and I have a lot of friends who are still in that world. And that entire industry has been at a crawl lately, the past several years, even before the strike. But yeah, I think that now that we're a year after the strikes have been resolved, it's like they're still trying to pick up the pieces industry wide and trying to prioritize a lot of scripted stuff. But it's just been challenging. A lot of people have been trying to figure out, where do we go from here? So that's so unfortunate. The timing was just so not in your favor.
Yeah, so bad, right? But wait, everything happens for a reason, right? It's like there's always, what do they call it, the silver lining, or when what's the saying? When one door closes, one door opens, right? There's always. So I'm looking for that. I'm like, wait a second. First and foremost, we still got the house. That doesn't change. All right.
Yeah.
We still can do our intentional plans. Maybe we just make it a YouTube series, right? Maybe we do this. Maybe we just make it a 1.5 to 2 hour documentary and we fund it, or we do a Kickstarter, right? We thought of all these different things we could do. And then, I'm talking to Fly on the Wall. And I'm trying to test their level of commitment, because they, at this point, understand this. They clearly had put a lot of resources into making the sizzle. When I show it to you, you can see. I mean, they spent a lot of time. The pitch decks, and not just that. Like, imagine how many pitches we've done and how much time and how many calls and this and that, right? So I said, okay, what are we missing? What's the component for this show that we're missing? Because I think I know the answer. Is it, and is it only money? And they said, effectively, yeah, it's really just the budget. It's the money. Because we'll produce it. And then if we produce it, certainly a distributor, you're in the industry, like there's distributors that happily would take this project.
I believe so, yeah.
And sell it, right, to all these different networks, right? And sell it to streamers, right? Amazon, Roku, right? All these Disney Plus, like, certainly.
Goonies is a Warner Brothers film. HBO is is partnered with Warner Brothers, so that's a natural pairing.
So HBO would want it, Disney would want it, right? Warner, like, for sure they would at least buy the license for it, especially if we, did everything within legal parameters, which we're trying to do. If we use clips, maybe we'd use fair use to where we're not, overly using a clip. It's just kind of like, oh, remember this shot or whatever. And then you show the before and after, whatever. That's all for them to figure out. But I was like, okay, it's just money. So why don't we come up with our own money? And he's like, well, the budget was $4.2 million.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. Okay. So I'm asking, this is Rich, one of the founders of Fly on the Wall. It's Rich and Allison, and both of them are amazing. And Rich is the one that I've been in contact with the most, and he's the one that's clearly passionate about the Goonies. And I said,
sure,
Rich, I don't know if you know or not, but for the last several months, this is last year, by the way, towards the end of the year, I said, I've been working on getting a permit to top the trees in front of the Goonies house, because it turns out trees grow. And in the last 39 years, a lot of the trees have grown a lot. And it doesn't give you the view of the water during the summer. Now, during the winter, the leaves fall off and you see the twigs and you can see the water. But during the summer, you wouldn't know that you're at the Goonies house because there's a wall of leaves. And we had to get neighbors to sign off. We had to get a licensed contractor. We had to get the bid, whatever. And I said, listen, I have this lined up, and I got the tree, I got the permit, I got the tree company coming to top. If I pay for the trees, if I front that money, would you pay for the camera guy, the film crew to come out? Because we need this for the show. This is part of the show, right? Is bringing the magic back to make it look like it did in the 80s. And if you show the before and after the truffle shuffle, you're going to have Chunk, and you're going to see kind of maybe the water, Troy's father, the water. You show now, it's just going to be like, are you in the freaking forest? Where are you? You know, it doesn't look right. So he said, I'm in. And so, like, this is without any legal paperwork, anything. This is just like straight love of the Goonies. Right. I said, I'll put the bill. It was not cheap. And then he did that. So we did that. And then I said, look, we have got to, I'm ready to move. I'm not going to wait much longer. The 40th anniversary is next year. The entire world that's Goonies fans is waiting for this house to be rehabbed to look like it did the movie. I'm going to go borrow more money, sell more stuff, more collectibles, whatever I got to do. And I'm going to put money in. And once I said that, another guy said he'll put a large sum of money in. Another guy said that.
There you go.
And we've come up with almost half the budget already. So we're moving forward. We're going to make this baby happen one way or another. And whether or not we have to do a Kickstarter to get the rest of the money.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, like, how can people support, anybody who's listening to this or watching it on YouTube, how can they support this endeavor?
The short answer is we want to ideally deal with the least amount of investors, just because the more investors you have, it just complicates it more. I would love for it to be crowdfunded if that's what it needed to be, but it's tough when you deal with thousands of people versus 5 people, right?
All right. So, well, let's say Warren Buffett is listening.
Okay.
Find you on your website.
If Warren Buffett is listening, or one of these wealthy individuals, Elon Musk, or one of these guys with billions of dollars that can just throw money like it's nothing, all we need is probably a couple more $1 million, whether it's $2 million, $2.5 million. We just need your money. We're almost done with the legal docs, the investor docs. We'll send them over to you and your attorneys to review. If you like it, sign it, send us the money, and then we have our budget money, and we're moving forward. So the easiest way a viewer or a listener can help is to put us in touch with somebody that's wealthy, that can afford to take the risk. Because, there's nothing guaranteed when you do a show or, you film or whatever. But somebody that has the love of the Goonies, the appetite to take the risk, and the wealth to invest that level of money. So, please get a hold of Elon or Buffett or Joe Rogan or somebody.
They're all listening, so they'll get in touch with you.
Or, actually, I'll tell you who would be the best. I've thought about this before, by the way, is Mr. Beast.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
I think Mr. Beast would be the perfect partner, because
I thought you were going to say Mr. Spielberg, but Mr. Beast makes sense too.
No, Mr. Spielberg. By the way, Steven, if you're listening, please, we would love to have you or your company invest into this, and we would love your blessing, and your authorization or whatever you call it. Please, we don't want to step on tiptoes. This is going to be a love letter to the movie The Goonies, right? This is all about the love of the Goonies. So hopefully they're going to see that the intention is that. I don't even know if the show will make money. I hope it does. It'd be nice, but I just would like to not lose money, obviously. But I think that it could overwhelmingly be a moneymaker, because there's so many people that love the Goonies, But it'd be neat if Spielberg got in, or the reason I bring up Mr. Beast is we would like to do some form of interactive treasure hunt, like a one-eyed Willy treasure hunt, where the viewers are not only watching the show, they could actually, it'd be like 3-dimensional, if you will. It's
it's taking experiential.
Where you look for hidden clues in each episode, and that helps you solve the map. Where you get the map and figure that out. And then when you solve the map, maybe you get entered into a system where you can win prizes or whatever. we want to do a real, interactive virtual one-eyed Willie treasure hunt. Then we want to bring collectors and Goonies worldwide that have original props or replica props, because we're going to need that. So think of like going out and maybe we go to Alabama and we go to Kansas, we go to Texas, we go to New York, and you go to California, because some of these big celebs like Adam Goldberg has Chunk's original Hawaiian shirt that was used in yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that has to get to the house, right?
Yeah.
And Adam has the only, as far as I know, left screen used treasure map from the movie.
Really? I didn't realize that he was such a big fan.
He's the biggest collector, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, Adam.
I want to know who's got the statue with the upside down penis.
Well, yeah. So what's funny about that is, and this is what I was told, is that they made, and this number could be wrong, but I was told they made like 7 of them, which makes sense because they're dropping it and breaking it, right?
Yeah.
More. And there's a lot of stories as to where the rest of them went, but supposedly people have them, right? So we want to get, now at the house, we've had a Goonies fan already make us a replica statue, and I told him I would only accept it if the member was magnetic.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Back and forth, right? And so here's the funny story, and I this is how I remember it going. And I think he's in like Australia, I believe. His name, I think, is Anthony. And he reaches out and said, hey, I make, things like that, statues, whatever, and I could make you one. And I said, well, I would only do it if the member's magnetic. And he goes, well, I've never done that before. I don't think I can do that. And I think I said something along the lines of like, what if I paid you $1 million?
Yeah.
It's like one of those. And not that I was going to offer that. I just was. Yeah. And he's like, well, crap, I would do anything for $1 million. I was like, well, then make the statue magnetic, just do it. And he's like, okay, well played. Good point. And so I'm not kidding you, within weeks, like a few weeks, we get to the house, because we go there every few weeks. We get to the house, there's a package, and we do unboxings for because I put them on my TikTok, and Instagram and stuff. So if anybody ever wants to see the unboxings, they go to my TikTok. It's my first and last name. And we unveil it. And sure enough, it works just like it was supposed to.
Beautiful. Love it.
That's in the house. So yeah, that's where we're at with the house. We're trying to get the TV show because we want to document all the renovations. We want this to be a 6-episode series and bring them out.
Yeah, and that's also something that I was wondering. You mentioned that kind of like the inside of the house, there's things that are different. Do you know how much of the location, or how much of like what's shown in the movie is in the house versus what's in a studio?
So everything is in the house except for the attic scene. Now, the attic door itself, when Mrs. Walsh is giving Rosalie the tour and she's like, pointing up, whatever, that is the actual attic. And by the way, it looks the exact same. Even
Amazing.
the little string that hangs down is the original string. It's unbelievable.
Love it.
Yeah. But when they go up into the attic, it's in Hollywood. They build it on a set. Now, here's the beauty, though. And people don't know this. They modeled this set after the actual attic of the house.
Oh, that's cool.
And so the pitches, the windows, whatever.
Yeah.
And so Fly on the Wall and we've concluded, although it would be tight because the attic in the house is smaller than, what meets the eye, so to speak, the actual attic could be redone to look like the movie, and you use those wide angle lenses, and how you can make stuff the depth and whatever. You notice when you watch Goonies, they never panned the attic, right? It was always like they're sitting in one corner.
Locked off shots, yeah.
Exactly. So we can redo it all in the house, but everything else is in the house. It's all in the house.
And then also when you're doing the show, that's when you can set up the zip line from the other house next door.
You want to hear this? You ready?
Of course I do.
Are you sitting down?
Here we are.
It's already up. The zip line.
Oh. All right, I got to make a trip out there. I live in Portland, so I have no excuse to not just go over there right now.
We're gonna be in Astoria next weekend,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for like a week. So we've got like 4 appointments lined up, but you're welcome to come up and visit. I'll be there. So if you want
Let
to,
me take a look at my schedule and we'll figure something out. I have a few questions for you and then I'll let you get going. But I'd just love to know, like, what are some of the coolest things that people have done at the house or asked you to do, asked for like permission to do at the house?
well, let's piggyback off the zip line. That'll be the first one. How about
Okay.
that? Is last Halloween, we decided we're going to do what should happen there, and that is trick or treat with the kids and Goonies fans, and hand out Baby Ruth bars.
Yeah.
So I dressed up as Sloth, and we did that. We worked with the city of Astoria and raised a little bit of money for them and whatnot. But long story short, my friends, they're the ones that said, "Hey, we want to put the zip line back, and we want to put Data up there." So we bought a blow up
Yeah.
doll, and the neighbor that lives in Data's house, she's an artist and she's very good and very
Oh,
crafty, and she
awesome.
took that blow up doll, and you can, if you go on my TikTok, you can
Okay.
see Data ziplining from Data's house into the, yes,
We'll
it's
put a link to your TikTok in the episode description and on YouTube and everything. Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
it's
Well, there you
incredible.
go. I mean, that's the coolest thing. Have you had any like strange requests from people? Maybe some people who have taken their fandom to an extreme.
Yeah, we have had strange requests, and I'm sure you've heard about the dead fish incident, right?
I have not heard about the dead fish incident.
Oh my God. So Google Goonies house dead fish and watch the
Okay.
video and the news
We'll
story.
leave it at that.
Yep, we'll leave it at that. And then, I mean, we pretty much have said yes to anything within reason, right? So people have proposed there. People
Yeah.
have wanted to go up on the porch, take pictures. We've given free house tours when we're in the mood. And when we're there, usually if we're not, meeting someone or doing
Yeah.
filming for a news station or documentary or whatever, we enjoy it. This is why we bought the house is for people to enjoy it as well. But like we had a group of people from the Midwest, ladies that are Goonies age, right? So in their 40s, they go up to the Oregon coast like every year or something like that. And the Goonies, of course, their hot spot. They always stop by and
Yeah.
make their dream and their lives complete. There's 7 of these ladies if they could spend the night at the Goonies house. And
Got
I'm
it.
like, well, that's a little much. And then we thought about it. My wife and I talked, and I said, how far do they live from Kansas City? And they were like, an hour and a half drive or something. So we
Oh,
decided that we're going to vet them first. So if they're
smart.
willing to come and meet us in Kansas City, we'll see what they're about, whatever. And so we met them, and we're like, oh, they're harmless. They're just Midwestern ladies that, they've all had kids and families and whatever. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I told my wife, I was like, let's just make their dream come true. Let them spend the night. Like, and we told them, they couldn't believe it. They're just like, what's the catch? We're like, there's no catch.
Oh,
There's
that's sweet.
absolutely no catch. Like, so we did that. Only 4 of the 7 were able to show up that weekend, which is too bad for the 3 that missed out.
Yeah.
So we did that. We've had people offer me money to, like, hey, I want to watch the Goonies movie in the front living room. I'll give you cash. I'm like, keep your money. I don't want your money. If I'm going to let you do that, you can do it for free because
Right.
I want you to enjoy it, and stuff like that. So we've had that. We've had people ask to bury ashes in the front lawn.
Okay. Yeah.
And my understanding is there have been some already that were done prior to us buying the house.
Yeah.
Not going to actually check, but that's what we've heard. But that's the only thing we've pretty much so far said no to because, we don't want to like go in the
It's
direction.
complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, maybe there's even a law, like maybe we're not allowed to do it. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So we've had a lot of requests. For the most part, as long as it's within reason and people are doing everything in good taste and being respectful, we pretty much say yes to, people taking selfies and, people filming documentaries and
Sure.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. So there's only one Goonies house, so we got to let the magic happen,
That's right. I wonder if there's also like a world record for like the largest number of people doing the truffle shuffle all at once or something. That'd be something fun to do at the house. Like,
Yeah.
there's endless possibilities. This movie is just like every single scene has like 5 memorable things at least part of it that have become so iconic. And that's the charm of it is that, you can watch this movie throughout your entire life and see new things and discover new things about it. And that's what I really love about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also wondering, you are now the owner, the caretaker of an iconic Astoria, Oregon film house, but that's not the only one around. There's also the Short Circuit House, which I believe you
Yep.
can like rent on Airbnb. There's the
Yep.
house from Kindergarten Cop. Do you have any connection at all with any of the people who own those homes?
I do. I'm actually good friends with Rich that owns the Short Circuit House, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, Rich is,
Beautiful houses.
yes, he's
Yeah.
become a dear friend, and he's a great human being. We love hanging out with Rich. He's helped us. He's always willing to, he's literally a Goonie. One thing
Yeah.
about being Goonies is we're there for each other. And anytime I've needed Rich, he's been there for me. He's just like us, just a huge '80s movies buff. I mean, he's a total geek like we are with toys and collecting and all that stuff. So, yes, friends with him. Uh, don't know the people that own Mouse House. Don't know the people that own the Kindergarten
Right.
Cop House. Although I'd be more willing to meet them if they wanted to. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I think that one's changed ownership not to maybe 10 years ago or so, if I'm not
Mouse
mistaken.
Mouse House.
Oh, no. The Kindergarten Cop house.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
much about Mouth's house. I only remember the kitchen scene.
Yep.
I don't remember what it looks like on the outside.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only scene, right? And then
Yeah.
I don't think they ever showed the outside in the movie, but
Okay.
when you like, obviously it was one of the spots when we went there for the 30th. You had all the different spots. You go to Chunk's
Yeah.
Bowling Alley, you go to Mal's house, you go to the Goonies house, you go to the jail, right? You go to the Flavel house where Mikey's
Right.
dad was putting the flag up, and hey, Mikey,
Yeah.
and then of course Cannon Beach. I'll tell you something that's funny about Goonies. You were talking like a few minutes ago about how neat it is because like the more you watch it, the more things you uncover and you see.
Sure.
And I've watched it over 100 times, and every time I watch it, I find something new. There's always something like a flub or something where they mess up, but a lot of people have not noticed this one. And I feel like you really had to have watched Goonies a lot to have paid attention. So you remember the movie starts out in the jail. The
Yeah.
Fratellis break out, and the Jeep's being chased all around Astoria in police cars. And they magically end up, at the beach, right, in Cannon
Yeah.
Beach. And most people, and I didn't know this till we went there, right, went there for the 30th, Cannon Beach is like 20 miles away from Astoria.
Right.
And so it takes like 35, 45 minutes just to get there, right? Because it's not like highway where you're driving 70 miles an hour. It takes a while. Well, so when you rewatch the movie, it's like, all right, they break out in jail. They're driving all over. That all makes sense. They're in Astoria. Astoria's a small town, whatever. And now Mama Fratelli ends up at the beach in the 4x4 race at Cannon Beach. So
Right.
you're thinking, oh, the beach is just right there in Astoria. No. So she's there. And then it's like, dun, 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 dun. And then she
Yeah.
like speeds up, right? And then they pan to the house shot. Well, if you watch right there, you will see the Fratelli's Jeep drive up Duane Street and turn up 38th Street. So it's
Oh,
like
okay.
jail all
they're
over
all-
Astoria,
Yeah.
Granite Beach, and then they finish in Astoria. It's like,
Yeah, the geography isn't 100%, and there's the Goonies. There are certainly plenty of things that are goofs, little errors. Clearly, they took out the octopus scene, but reference it later.
yeah,
There's a newspaper article about the Fratelli jailbreak that seems to have come out like the same day. That's just like in the Fratelli in the restaurant and stuff. So like there are certain things that you just have to say, who cares,
Yeah, and you're right. And some of the deleted scenes, it
Yeah.
was funny because I remember as a kid, when they said the word octopus, I never
Yeah.
remembered the octopus. And then you're just like,
Who
oh, I must have
cares?
missed it, right? Or did I go to the bathroom while this octopus came out or whatever?
Yeah.
But what's neat too, to piggyback on that, there's a couple more deleted scenes that you're probably aware of. One of them is at the restaurant scene where there was more footage of the kids when they're kind of by that, I want to say like that log, and they're like overlooking the Fratelli's hideout, whatever.
Right.
There's some stuff that happened there where Data is playing with a new gadget, whatever. And so that was the deleted scene.
Yeah.
And then
the binoculars, right?
Yeah, was it? Yeah,
Yeah.
There's binoculars, right, that fall out and they
Yeah.
break or something. But the best one is at that Astoria coffee shop, which, by the way, is still there. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember the coffee shop. I remember the convenience store.
Okay. Call it the convenience store.
Oh, okay. Coffee shop. All right.
So today it's
Where Troy like lights the map on fire and stuff. Yeah.
and Chunk is like digging his head into the freezer to get ice cream and all that stuff.
Dude can't help himself. He loves ice cream.
He loves ice cream, right? I smell ice cream. But that scene, so that, by the way, that's the same crosswalk that Rosalita was crossing at the beginning of the movie in the credits.
Gotcha. Okay.
So when you look there, that's the same building. It's today the Astoria Coffee House. and in the it was a convenience store obviously in the movie, but that deleted scene, in my opinion, would have been great to add in the movie. I don't know why they took it out. And then there's the story of the other Mustangs and the gorillas. Do you know about that?
No.
So I'm going to let that marinate with you.
Okay. We're coming up on an hour of this thing that I thought was going to be 10 minutes. So
let's go.
Well, here's this. I'm just going to ask you one more question. This has less to do with the Goonies and more about you, especially as a collector. What other like white whale elements of like maybe pop culture, history, or something collectible would you love to get your hands on?
Like small collectible items, or like
it could be small. It could be smaller. It could be another house. You tell me.
Well, I'll share one of them with you, because if I share the other one, it could ruin potential.
Oh, okay.
But I will tell you, not only did we go to the Goonies 30th, we went to the Back to the Future 30th.
Nice.
In 2015 as well. I'm equally a Back to the Future fan. However, Back to the Future had 3 movies. So when people say, what's your favorite movie of all time? It's Goonies, right?
Yeah.
Back to the Future took 3 movies to tell the whole story, which, by the way, was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But is also, neck to neck with me. So we went there for the 30th, hit all the film spots, was epic, just like Goonies was. We were in the greater Los Angeles area doing that. But they auctioned off a lot of the original props, including the almanac.
Oh, the almanac.
And I was busy. I took my family as well. Family of 4. We went out there and did the same thing. And we were doing something else, like one of the tours or something like that. And by the time we had gotten back, the almanac had already been auctioned off. And I'm like, no. And you know who bought it? One of the Impractical Jokers.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. And he's got it still. I know he's got it. And I even have seen them live.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get their attention, after I couldn't get to them or whatever. But if one of you guys ever hears this podcast, sell me the almanac. I want the almanac.
There you go.
One thing that I definitely want back. And, a big thing would be like one of the screen used DeLoreans would be insane.
Oh, well, I mean, come on. And this is something that has come up on this actual podcast episode just minutes before this segment is going in. But there is a theory that the Goonies and Back to the Future take place in the same day.
I've seen that. I love that video. It is so nostalgic.
It's, you know what? Steven Spielberg clearly very much involved with all of that. And so, of course, that's something that he would do. And the odds that it is intentional, who knows? But it's just a fun thing. And 80s cinema, especially like right in this area, 85, 86, 87, like there's just a lot of fun being had in movie making. And that's why, movies like this work. And it's not just the one movie, it's all the movies that kind of surround it. You take this movie and of course it's in the same conversation as like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom because of Ke Huy Quan, and like Stand By Me because of not just Oregon, but also Corey Feldman. And this is the movie that launched Josh Brolin's career. And it's just, there's a reason why it's so special to so many people. Actually, there's hundreds of reasons why it's special to so many people. I love that you have taken on this new role in its history. I'm so happy for you. Thank you. The whole story about how you got the house, I hope that for you, it feels like it was worth all of the stress. and here you are, you're doing it, and this is just the beginning. So
yeah, that's right. And thank you for all of that. I appreciate all those kind words. I want to respond to the Spielberg. First of all, Steven Spielberg and everybody associated, right? So Donner with Goonies, Robert Zemeckis, like the Bobs, on Back to the Future. Those individuals are absolute geniuses. Like watch Back to the Future 1, 2, 3, and the more you watch it, I've seen that over 100 times too, those movies. And the more you watch them, the more you see how well they planned, to integrate Back to the Future 2 into 1 and 3. And then you see like even the whole thing where Marty goes back to 1955 and comes back, and after he ran over one of old man, whatever, Peabody's pines, the name of the mall changed from Two Pines or whatever, Twin Pines Mall to the One Pine Mall, right?
Yeah.
So it just shows you. So when you were talking about both were filmed on the same day kind of thing, well, let's take it another level. Go to the living room scene of Goonies, and if you look in the corner, there's a calendar pinned. It's on the kitchen side of the Goonies house, and it's a yellow calendar page, and I think it's like Led Zeppelin or I think is who's on the cover, but it's turned to I think the October month.
Okay.
And so Back to the Future was October, and all this stuff. And you follow that rabbit hole, and you're like, did they really plan these two movies like that well?
So it's the newspaper article that talks about the Fratelli, breaking out of jail, and it date stamps it. So October 26th is like theoretically the date that this is all taking place, 1985. So,
and you just got to think that these movies run by Spielberg and company, right? They're just. I just have such an appreciation for how much thought and depth went into producing these. And then here we are as a bunch of grown-up kids that we got to just keep watching and enjoying all this stuff. But, we're looking forward to what's to come. This is just the start, all the craziness that's happened, the banner wars that we had at the Goondocks, when we first bought the house. That's a whole nother thing. Google Goonies house banner wars, you'll see a whole new slew.
I've seen it. It's amazing.
We made the front page of Reddit. Like how do you do that? I don't know, but these kind of things you can't plan for. You can't make these stories up; they just happen. But we're looking forward to our participation in the Goonies world and how we can add value and make it more enjoyable and keep the fire going. Right, keep the flame going. So people just can continue to visit and love and watch the movie and have their hands in it, and as many Goonies we can get there to visit and help paint the house or help fix the toilet, whatever, whatever we need.
Cool. Well, hey, Behman, thank you so much. This has been really great. And why don't we cap it off with a little bye you guys? How about that?
Hey, you guys, or bye, you guys?
Well, bye, you guys. This is us wrapping up our conversation.
Bye, you guys.
Bye, you guys. All right. Take care.
Hey, maybe see you next weekend.
Yeah, right.